Thank you.
All right. Okay, members, we'll make a start. Can I remind members that this meeting will be recorded and ask you to note that mobile phones should be switched off as they interfere with the recording. Tablet devices should be switched to mute. Can I remind members to declare their interest as appropriate throughout the meeting. I advise members that the committee will be considering the key issues and evidence in relation to the Fisheries Bill today. We'll then move on to informal clause-by-clause scrutiny, and if no issues are identified, we can commence formal clause-by-clause process. I would encourage all members to try and remain for the duration of the session in order to get this work completed. I declare the meeting open to the public. With that now, some members. Agenda item 1, do we have any apologies? No.
Robin Swan.
Robin Swan.
We've got question time, Chair.
Pardon?
It's got a
I'll be back in again.
That's okay. Okay. Can I ask members to note that I requested an additional briefing today on the financial aid for flooding, but that issue has not just been finalised. I think there's negotiating with the DFP on that, so it could be next week before we can get that briefing. Okay, members. That item 3.
Chair, just on that financial aid, I've been talking to a lot of the people who have been affected. I'm sure other members have as well. And they're asking me in relation to businesses and homes and things like that. They seem to be somewhat, I don't know what this financial aid that's being mentioned on the media, what the criteria is or how it's going to be applied. And I think this committee needs to, I know you're saying maybe next week we'll get a full brief on this, but we certainly need that because the people out there just don't know where they are. They're greatly concerned that a lot of this, any money that's going out will be lost or swallowed up by design people and consultants, and call it what you like, and it may not get to the most affected people if that money's going out. And these are issues we need to get sorted. And I say they're asking these questions.
I think the issue is, that many members realise, I think £1,000 for damage, but you're talking about the scheme whereby to help flood the houses from flooding in the future.
Well, for flood defences around homes, there's £10,000 mentioned, less than £1,000. But I think the Minister said maybe a few days ago that there may be some money coming forward, finance for businesses. But what constitutes a business? Like farmers say, they're a business.
That's right.
And I say, that all has to be sort of identified. And I think before next week we need this is the answers we are looking for.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, Sean.
Just to fully support Sydney, we know we really need answers on this. And okay, you're getting some information coming to you next week, but you know, if it means us doing an inquiry into this or whatever, I think it's something we need to consider.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair, I concur with that. What constitutes a farm business? And it certainly is out there, and you don't know when we don't have the answers to tell them. So I think it'd be remiss of us, that's another week gone by. Meanwhile, they're still don't know what's happening, don't know what constitutes a business, if they're entitled to or not. So if we had some answers, maybe right from this committee, to request that information as soon as possible, because you know we're delaying another week.
Flood alleviation measures, of course, will take much longer than a week or 2 or 3 or 4 to put in place. Like, I mean, this could take 6 months, but at the same time, it's good that there is that. We need more clarity maybe around that. I accept.
It's more to do with the compensation for business. What constitutes a business? Farmers were affected big time down around our way, and I'm sure in other places as well. So they're asking us the question, what constitutes a business? We need to know that, and we need to know the criteria and everything that goes with it, so that we can go out and tell those people. And I think those are answers we need to come ASAP.
Yes, we need clarity around farm business.
I think at this moment what we are told is the decision of the amount of money and what's going to be given to businesses and farms are businesses. So I mean that would be my view. But I mean I think that decision at this moment in time we'd hope is near completion then. But I mean I think they're negotiating at this moment in time with the DFP on that.
I'm aware, Chair, that I think the in relation to homes, as there's a 15-page document or something that they're being asked through the Rivers Agency. Some people's telling me that they have to go through. But I said they're going to need help. They're going to need to be told or be guided in the way of
absolutely.
what sort of a defence they need around their home if they want to do that.
I think
what it's going to cost, and who's going to design it, and where is the money going? Who pays the money to design it? Because that could be that's issues that could be swallowed up in any money that they're getting. So they end up paying it all for themselves. There's a lot of fine detail here we would need to know, and I think that's what we need to get the department to bring back to us. And as Joanne says, like, are we go wait till next week, or what? Maybe that's something we need to go and ask about.
Well, I think the immediate issue for me, and maybe I'm wrong on this, the immediate issue is homes that are damaged are already entitled to £1,000 compensation, and that has been happening across Northern Ireland. I think that is an issue, as I'm aware, currently exists. So, I mean, I think it's very important that those, because, I mean, I had a neighbour, and, I mean, the council came out, and I think they told they'll have their money within 7 days. So, I mean, that is clear enough. That's clear enough. So, I mean, but it is the business issue, the issue of small business or large businesses plus farms.
Plus the defence, those homes that need to put in these defence.
But that's a wider issue, which will take some time to do all that, to put that in place, as you know.
It will take time, but at the end of the day, we need to know how much is going to cost, what criteria those defences, who signs them off. Like, if you go and put a defence around your home, it's going to have to be done with the department, with consulting, with those people who have the know-how. So that could cost money. We don't know that, and we need to find that out.
Well, I mean, at this stage we don't know, but it probably could be done through your environmental health officer in the local council, I would have thought. Same, probably, but time, we need some clarity on those issues. Yeah, that was right. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 3. Refer members to draft minutes of the meeting on the 19th of January 2016 at pages 6 to 10. Members content that the draft minutes are record. Yes. So I will sign. Sorry, go on.
Sure, I had my hand up there earlier.
Sorry, I didn't know that. You're all right.
Not to worry. We need to be writing the DSD as well. DSD is in with this as well, because they're not bringing forward money for the flood alleviation scheme as well. And the Department of Environment as well. So there's 3 departments there you need to be writing to, not just the one. Because that was agreed at the executive, was it last week or the week before last? And that was all put in the newspapers. So I'm surprised nobody read that. It was in the newspapers, the results of the executive meeting and how they were going to tackle the flood crisis. It's in the papers.
Okay.
But DSD has a major role in this as well.
Is it DRD?
DRD, sorry. Whatever one of the two of it is.
Social housing.
Can we write to them all?
No, I don't think that's I would have understood. I was speaking to the minister this morning at the breakfast, and I mean, in passing, I had asked the question about and the negotiations at the moment to try and get it resolved as quickly as possible, and that's the message I got at that stage. But that's this morning.
Everybody's house is different here, and this is the problem. Everybody's flooding issue is different, and as far as trying to put some case in for alleviating that.
It's almost the same. It's almost the same at individual housing level. Every level of damage is different, but there was £1,000 each gift to every house. I mean, they couldn't ascertain and give. You know, it'd be very difficult to do that. So that's what the decision was at that time. It's really only a gesture payment at the end of the day.
Yeah, that was administrated through council.
That's right.
And council's done that very quick.
That is great, and worked very well. Yeah.
The other work involved, if you've seen the paper, it's not going to be something you're going to do overnight.
No, it's more difficult. Yeah.
But I quite agree with you to write to all the departments and find out exactly each one of them their role in this here, because there's 2 or 3 departments involved in this.
Okay. Members. Agenda item 4, monitorising. Advise members that no correspondence has been received on this item.
Yes, dear.
Agenda item 5, Rural Needs Bill update on proposed amendments and order to print. Can I remind members that the committee considered and agreed each section of the draft report on the Rural Needs Bill at last week's meeting. However, on Thursday last week, the executive met but did not consider the amendments to clause 1 of the Rural Needs Bill, which require executive approval. Consideration stage is provisionally scheduled for Monday the 15th of February, and the deadline for amendments would be before 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday the 10th of February 2016. Members content to revisit the situation at the meeting on Tuesday the 9th of February 2016? Okay, members?
Yeah.
And also advise members that the report has been revised to reflect these developments. Can I refer members to the changes in paragraph 5 of the report on page 19?
Yeah, I just need to remove the last line of paragraph 5 there. That's the amendment, if you took, just because we haven't got that.
Okay, members, not clear? Members content with paragraph 5 as amended? Okay. Can I advise members that the report also needs to contain the relevant extract from the minutes of today's meeting? Can I seek agreement for the inclusion of today's minutes into the report prior to members having sight of them? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put the question that the Committee of Agriculture and Rural Development orders the Rural Needs Bill report NA 288/11 to 16 to be printed. Okay, members?
Great.
Great. Okay. Agenda item 6, Fisheries Bill, consideration of key issues and potential amendments, informal clause by clause and formal clause by clause. But refer members to the relevant papers in their packs, which include a copy of the Fisheries Bill and EFM and the consolidated version of Section 31 of the Fisheries Act 1981. A copy of the joint statement issued after the second stage debate and the Hansard of the evidence session from the Anglo-North Irish Fisheries Producers Organisation and DARD are also attached. There's also the written submissions from the Northern Ireland Marine Task Force and the Northern Irish Fish Producers Organisation. And they also refer members to a letter from the department indicating that it has received further correspondence from the EU Commission on the pilot case at page 84. Can I ask members to note this correspondence? Can I refer members to the revised delegated powers memorandum specifically for clause 6 provided by DARD and included in your table papers pack? This was forwarded to the Examiner of Statutory Rules for consideration late last week. In his response also in your table papers, the Examiner indicates that in the context of Section 32 of the Fisheries Act 1981 and given the amendments already in place for England and Wales, the expanded power seems to be appropriate as a delegated power and subject to an appropriate degree of Assembly scrutiny. Are members content with that position? Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I also refer members to the table correspondence from DARD on the financial aspects of the bill? This is in response to the briefing paper that the committee received from the Assembly Financial Scrutiny Unit. Annex A is a detailed response to the issues identified in the raised paper. There is also a table at Annex B which sets out the costs of the bill as introduced. As members know, the only substantive clause moving forward will be clause 6. Nevertheless, information on all clauses has been provided. Can I ask members to take a few moments to consider and ask our members content to note that this information and to pass it to the raised team for information? Okay, members? Advise members that we are due to hear from the Northern Ireland Federation of Sea Anglers at the meeting last week. That was cancelled due to the foreseen circumstances. However, a late written brief has now been received and has been tabled. DARD officials are in the public gallery to address any concerns that members may have with this briefing or indeed any other aspect of the bill. If members have any issues or concerns with the bill that they wish to raise, please note that this is your last opportunity, as the committee will today complete its formal clause-by-clause scrutiny of the bill. Any issues? No issues. We ask members if they wish, if they have any issues or concerns with clause 6 that they wish to raise of any nature at this stage. No. I advise members that on the basis of the evidence we have taken and the 3 written submissions received, no major issues have been identified by stakeholders in relation to clause 6 of the bill. We will now begin the formal clause by clause. Members will recall that the meeting 14th of December 2015, the committee agreed to undertake committee stage scrutiny of only clause 6 and the appropriate general provisions. At that meeting, the committee agreed, with the assent of the Minister, that the remaining clauses should not stand part of the bill. We heard from Dard on the 12th of January that the only general provision which is required is clause 19, or the short title. Members will find further information on this at page 91 of the pack. On the 12th of January 2016, the committee agreed to write to the Minister inviting her to co-sign the amendments to this effect. We have been informed by Dard officials that the Minister has agreed to the proposal to jointly table notices of intent that any clauses that the committee are not content with will not stand part of the bill at consideration stage. I refer members to the Fisheries Bill at page 5671. I will now take members through each clause and clarify the committee position. And I remind members again that the only clauses which need to be agreed are clauses 6 and 19. Clauses 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 informally are members content with clauses 1 to 5 of the bill? No? Fine.
What page are you at, sir?
They don't.
We're not considering.
No, that's right.
Content,
Okay.
we're not content.
Not content. Okay. Members content that we instruct the bill officer to draft appropriate amendments of these clauses not stand part of the bill for the committee. Okay. Clause 6. No matters were raised in connection with Clause 6, enforcement of EU rules. Informally, are members content with Clause 6? Yes. Clauses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Informally, are members content with Clauses 7 to 15 of the bill? No. Members content that we instruct the bill office to draft the appropriate amendments of these clauses not stand part of the bill for the committee. All right. We'll now consider the general provisions of the bill. Members may wish to refer to page 91 of the pack. Halfway down that page, Dart officials outline the reasons why clauses 16, 17 and 18 are not required. Clause 16, at the meeting of the 12th of January 2016, the committee was informed that if only clause 6 is processed, there is no need for clause 16 interpretation, as none of the terms defined in it relate to clause 6. The committee therefore agreed that clause 16 not stand part of the bill. Informally, are members content with clause 16 of the bill? No. Members content that we instruct the bill office to draft the appropriate amendment that the clause not stand part of the bill for the committee? Okay. Clause 17, at the meeting of 12th of January 2016, the committee was informed that if only clause 6 is processed, there is no need for clause 17. Prior to make consequential amendments, as the department cannot envisage any consequential amendments being required to clause 6 or related to clause 6, the committee therefore agreed that clause 17 not stand part of the bill. Members informally are members content with clause 17 of the bill? No. Members content that we instruct the bill office to draft the appropriate amendment that the clause not stand part of the bill in the committee? Okay, members. Clause 18, at the meeting of the 12th of January 2016, the committee was informed that if only clause 6 is processed, the Act as a whole would commence at royal assent and there is no need for clause 18. Formally, are members content with clause 18 of the bill? No. Members content that we instruct the bill office to draft the appropriate amendment that this clause not stand part of the bill for the committee? Okay, members? Clause 19, with respect to the short title of clause 19, at the meeting of the 12th of January 2016, the committee indicated that the name of the reduced bill could be changed, but that there was no strong case to do so, so to propose to keep it as it is. As a result, no matters were raised in connection with the clause. Formally, are members content with clause 19?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That completes our formal clause by clause. Can I advise members that no issues were identified? As no issues were identified, I propose to be moved on immediately to the formal clause by clause. Are members content with this approach? We are now in a position to proceed with the formal clause by clause. I advise members that the committee will be taking a formal vote on each clause in the bill. The options available to the committee are: 1. Agree that the committee is content with the clause. 2. Agree that the committee is content with the clause as amended. 3. Agree that the committee is not content with the clause and either A. Vote that is not content with the clause, or B. Agree that the committee amendment is required.
Go straight to there.
Clause 1, C, Fisher. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 1 of the bill. So I put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 1 stand part of the bill? Okay. Clause 2, size limits of sea fish. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 2 of the bill. Can I put the question again? Is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 2 stand part of the bill? Okay. Clause 3, grants of licences subject to conditions imposed for environmental purposes. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 3 of the bill. Can I put the question again? Is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose question that clause 3 stand part of the bill? Clause 4, powers of British sea fishery officers to enforce sea fisheries legislation. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 4 of the bill. Again, I'm going to put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 4 stand part of the bill? Right. Clause 5, section 4, interpretation. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 5 of the bill. Again, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 5 stand part of the bill? Okay. Clause 6, enforcement of EU rules. The committee has indicated that it is content with clause 6 of the bill. Again, I'll put the question, is the committee content with clause 6 as drafted? Right. Clause 7, penalties for certain offences under the 1966 Act. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 7 of the bill. Again, I'm going to put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 7 stand part of the bill? Okay. Clause 8, penalties for certain offences under the 1967 Act. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 8 of the bill. Again, I'm going to put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 8 stand part of the bill? Clause 9, offences by directors, partners, etc. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 9 of the bill. I'm going to again put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 9 stand part of the bill? Okay. Clause 10, fish dealer's licence. No need for certificate of justice of the peace. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 10 of the bill. And again, I'll put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 10 stand part of the bill?
Great, yeah.
Clause 11, restriction on removal of material from bed of lake. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 11 of the bill. And again, I'll put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 11 stand part of the bill? Clause 12, dams and rivers, fish passes, etc. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 12 of the bill. Again, I'll put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 12 stand part of the bill? Clause 13, gradings is in certain water courses. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 13 of the bill. Again, I'll put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 13 stand part of the bill? Clause 14, fixed penalty notices. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 14 of the bill. I put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 14 stand part of the bill? Clause 15, fixed penalty notices effect on prosecution. The committee has indicated that it is not content with the clause 15 of the bill. And again, I'm going to put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 15 stand part of the bill? Move on to clause 16, interpretation. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 16 of the bill. Again, I'll put the question, is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 16 stand part of the bill? Clause 17, power to make consequential amendments. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 17 of the bill. Again, I'm going to put the question: is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 17 stand part of the bill? Clause 18, sorry.
Just read down that the committee's content of its intention to oppose the question that clause 18 stand part of the bill.
Sorry, did I say something wrong?
My fault.
Really? That's a bad.
Just do it.
I'll do that again because it has been written down wrong.
Yeah.
And, but this is 17, is that right?
No, you just read it down 7.
What are we opposing 13 for?
Yeah, it's okay.
Do 17 and then do the same word for 15, do 17 again.
Do 17 again from here, just. Prior to make consequential amendments, the committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 17 of the bill. And to put the question: is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 17 stand part of the bill?
Agreed, yeah.
Great.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clause 18. The committee has indicated that it is not content with clause 18 of the bill.
Put the question with that question.
Oh, yes, you deny. Is the committee content to give notice of its intention to oppose the question that clause 18 stand part of the bill?
Great.
No, just go to 19.
Okay, we'll move on to 19, clause 19. The committee has indicated that it is content with clause 19 of the bill. And I want to put the question: is the committee content with clause 19 as drafted?
Right.
This concludes the clause-by-clause scrutiny of the Fisheries Bill.
Can I ask you one question? Are we opposing clause 13?
Yes.
Ratings? And what evidence?
And the evidence that the decal committee didn't wish to do it. And the committee agreed on the 12th of December that it wouldn't do it.
We're only moving clause 6 is not the reason why. You understand? That's why we have to go through this. Yeah.
Clause 6, 19.
Clause 6 and 19, yeah.
Don't forget 19.
I know. Yes.
The committee staff will now draft the committee report for consideration and approval by the committee on the 2nd of February 2015.
Nothing to date.
Agenda item 7.
Just wait to see if the commission.
Oh, there. Hold on, quick, have it.
They're not here yet? No.
It's okay.
And the correspondence, or have you already done?
No, we'll do correspondence.
Yes, yeah.
Gotta get the
Page 23 and 23.
Page 23.
That's it.
Everything,
Oh, no, we're not putting down budget as well.
we don't have time.
We want it. Just they're not here, you don't have to move so quick through that. Page 22 and then
I'm sorry. Agenda item 8, correspondence. Refer members to correspondence from the Committee for Finance and Personnel in your table papers with details of their briefing on the NICS voluntary exit scheme provided by representatives of the Public Sector Restructuring Steering Group and the Department of Finance and Personnel. The Finance and Personnel Committee were advised that a 5th tranche of exits was announced on the 6th of January 2016, and these staff due to leave in June 2016. However, DARD has not availed of this further tranche. The scheme will be closed once tranche 5 offers have been issued. For our members to correspondence from the committee for OFM, DFM in your table papers. This is in connection with the committee's EU work programme. All committees have been asked to reply to the committee for OFM, DFM on their individual EU work. This will form part of a committee for OFM, DFM report, which it is anticipated will be debated in the Assembly. A short response on behalf of the Art Committee has been prepared and is in your table papers. Are members content that this is provided to the OFM DFM Committee? Okay, members. Move on to a forward work programme. Agenda item 9. Can I refer members to the forward work programme at pages 127 to 131? And advise members that following our discussions at last week's meeting, additional briefings on the following are in the process of being arranged. An update on bovine TB with specific emphasis on the committee inquiry recommendations, Rural Development Programme 2014-2020, an update on developments and progress on all aspects, including our business improvement scheme and NEFAS, update on SUPL project also. A briefing by the Farm Safety Partnership has been arranged for the 1st of March 2016. Written briefings on the following have also been requested: plant health and tree disease, AFBI strategic position and estate issues, yard relocation project, dog breeding establishments and any issues arising out of the review of the welfare of animals. Can I also advise members that efforts to organise a concurrent meeting with the ADI committee to receive an update on going for vote have been hampered by scheduling issues. Members content to receive a separate briefing from officials on these actions that DARD is responsible for during one of our remaining meetings. Okay, members? Okay. Members will also note that staff are in the process of organising a visit to see the sluice gates at Toome. This is likely to be a Thursday afternoon in February, and the email will be issued once details are agreed. Okay, members. Can I also ask members to note that I have asked for further briefing on the compensation aspects of the flooding, particularly that consideration is given to compensation for farmers. Can I seek agreement for the forward work programme? Okay, ma'am. Any problems? Jacqueline, you know?
No, great.
All right. Is there any other business just before we? Does anyone want to?
The sea fishing, through the chair, we've got a letter and correspondence from them. They were to come last week and to get sea anglers. Are we taking them back, or are we just taking that letter?
No, they're just taking the letter because the clause by clause on the Fisheries Bill is now concluded. So we're not taking any further evidence, and we're about to write the report.
We're just going back to what we started the meeting up, and when do we think, or try, maybe I missed it, to try and get officials on the compensation?
We're going to try for next week.
Next week.
We're going to try anyway. Yeah.
Okay, good.
When do you call an emergency meeting?
Well, I think
They may
there's not
have
much
to.
point in doing that if they haven't. You know, we need to make sure. I will be speaking to officials. I will speak to ensure that they resolve this. Hopefully, you know.
I think next week.
Today would resolve themselves. I think, in fairness, the scheme to alleviate flooding problems in the future, it should be a good scheme to help. But I mean, it's something that won't be done tomorrow or the next. You know, it's going to take a wee bit of time to get all that in place. So hopefully for next back end, you know what I mean? Because you not do that in a week. I mean, there'll be. I'm sure scores of houses will want to avail of that. You know.
That's about the defence, maybe. Or
Yeah.
But I'm talking about, see, the compensation aspect. I
Yeah.
think we should maybe move as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because people are asking about it.
It's not been agreed yet.
It's not been agreed. That's why there's
It's
no.
not been agreed yet.
That's why we hadn't them come today. There's no point in coming if we haven't agreed.
Nothing agreed
Is it
yet.
likely to be maybe agreed between?
Well, we'd hope so.
Well, I think maybe as soon as it's agreed that we could get that briefing. And
Do you want if they come next week and that compensation hasn't been agreed, they won't be able to tell you anything?
Well, I think it will be agreed, but I think there's pressure on the departments to agree it. I think I could be wrong, of course, but I'd be very surprised if it's not agreed before that. That'll be my take on it. I'd be very surprised, and I could be wrong. Because I mean, you can't. There's no point in taking a decision once. You know, it needs to be taken now or very soon. I would hope that.
even with the defences for the homes and things, people are being asked to make applications and things. So we do need something in that as well. I know it will be, but they must have some idea of.
Well, I think they have an idea on that scheme, but I mean, again.
Do you want to suspend?
Yes, we'll suspend for a few minutes. Yeah.
Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly Committee Room 30. This is the Northern Ireland Assembly.
Okay, members, we move on to agenda item 7. We're going to have an oral briefing from Dara with budget 2016-17. Can I refer members to papers provided by the department at pages 103 to 111, and the research paper circulated at the last week's meeting at pages 112 to 124. Members may recall that we agreed to forward this research paper to the department after the meeting last week, requesting that they address the issues for consideration highlighted by the researcher. Members may want to use this opportunity to follow up further on these particular issues. Can I welcome Graham Wilkinson, Acting Deputy Secretary, Senior Finance Director, Tracy Teague, Assistant Secretary, Corporate Services Director, and Roger Downey, Acting Assistant Secretary, Finance Director. And I welcome you along to the committee and ask you to take up to 10 minutes for your presentation, and we ask some questions.
Okay, thank you, Chair and members, for the opportunity to brief you today on the DAERA budget for 2016-17. As you recall, we did brief the committee back in early December. However, since then, a number of things have changed, not least the Executive have now agreed the budget for 16-17 in line with the Fresh Start Agreement. I provided members with an overview of the implications for the Department. I'm sure you'll have a number of questions for us, so I'll keep my introductory comments brief. At the block level, the Executive has funding was determined as part of the 2015 spending review and the associated application of the Barnett formula. The resource allocation received by Northern Ireland in 16-17 represented a nominal increase of £84 million, bringing the total resource allocation to £9.7 billion, or a real terms reduction of 0.8%. On capital, there's an allocation of £1 billion for the Northern Ireland block, which represents a £52 million nominal increase, or a real terms increase of 3.7%. As I said, the Executive agreed the budget for DAERA on the 17th of December, which included resource allocations of £197.9 million. That was across all departments. Although the Executive received an £84 million increase allocation, departments such as health were protected as part of that process. As a consequence of that, DAERA's allocation included a cut of 5.7% or £11.9 million reduction to its resource. On capital, we received an allocation of £48.8 million. Chair, as you'll appreciate, the budget allocation for the new department represents a significant challenge for us, not least that we delivered savings of £40 million over the 2010 budget period, as well as £29.9 million in the current financial year. Put quite simply, we will have to deliver our business differently in the future if we are to meet our customers' expectations, as well as delivering the administrative controls required of a paying agency for EU funding. Turning to the paper that you have, you'll see that I've given you some analysis of the £11.9 million. As part of this process, we agreed that the cut was to be allocated pro rata across all of the three areas that are going to be joined together. That includes the current DARD functions, the Environment and Marine Group coming from DOE, and Inland Fisheries from DCAL. In terms of DARD, that equates to £10 million cut. 1.7 million for the Environment and Marine Group, and finally 0.3 million for Inland Fisheries. Table 2 in your briefing pack shows how it's broken down against the constituent parts. The largest element of our savings within the DARD part is in respect of VES. As part of the 15-16 budget process, you'll recall that we had forecast savings of £5.6 million from our staffing. That equated to around 300 staff leaving on the 30th of September. Now that we have run the VES in its totality, we are able to generate a further £4.9 million of savings in the 16-17 financial year, having made an adjustment for Rivers Agency moving to infrastructure. So in summary, the total cost of VES is around £12.6 million for DARD, and in turn that will deliver an annualised saving of £11.6 million, so therefore the payback is just over 1 year. Turning to the various programmes within the department, the two largest savings relate to AFBI and TRIPSI, the TRIPSI programme, both of which will be offset using a capital allocation. The smallest saving that you'll see in your table relates to the new contractual arrangements from the private veterinary practitioners. Regarding the other departments, EMG, Environment Marine Group, will deliver its savings from the voluntary exit scheme, and that will equate to 1.7 million, as I've said. And DCAL's savings of 0.3 will be delivered from reductions from a number of small programmes. I should say, so that's the savings. In relation to other financial pressures that we have, we are aware of a range of those, and as advised the committee back in December, we have pressures of around £17.1 million. And those include things like employers' national insurance contributions increasing. We have a number of programmes under the Going for Growth and Rural Development programmes where we have pressures, which we did bid for as part of this budget process. However, we were unsuccessful. I'll just give you a few numbers around that. The Rural Development Knowledge Transfer Scheme, business development groups that we have launched, we have a pressure of £1.5 million in relation to that. Our HQ relocation programme, £1 million. TB compensation around £4 million, and CAP disallowance around £3.9 million. So those are significant amounts of money that we are entering the new financial year unfunded. However, we do intend to represent those pressures as part of the June monitoring process, and we will continue to firm up exact figures between then and now. Turning to capital. As in previous years, this was done using a zero-based exercise, and as I said, we did receive an allocation of £48.8 million as part of the budget process. Specifically, we have an allocation to take forward various investment schemes in our programmes of £21.1 million, IT systems £11.3 million, and various recurring capital requirements of £16.5 million. You'll see the detail of that set out in Table 5 in your briefing pack. And certainly this will allow us to take forward some priority schemes such as HQ relocation. I've mentioned TRIPSI, RDP, Going for Growth and Fisheries. On the IT side, allocations have been made to the CAP reform ICT systems and as well NIFAS. Recurring capital includes things like vehicles, machinery and building improvements. Final Annex A of your pack sets out the budget chapter, which was included in the Executive's published document on the budget. And this includes the latest position in relation to the projected vision and strategic goals for the new department. And we'll continue to refine our strategic document between now and May, when a new minister will be in place after the Assembly elections. Also, just to reference that a new minister will have an opportunity to look at priorities and move funding around as part of the June monitoring process. That concludes my introductory comments, Chair. More than happy to take any questions that the committee might have.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. There's a number of resource bids that weren't funded by, I see, the executive in this exercise. Knowledge transfer 1.5 million, headquarter relocation 1 million, TV compensation 4 million, and it also capped this allowance 3.9. When then if they're not funded in this round, what obviously I would say the TV compensation has to be a pressing area, like it has to money.
It is, well, Chair. I would sort of suggest that they're all very pressing. Certainly, in terms of the business development groups, we are well along that road in terms of rolling out that scheme. And our HQ relocation as well, we are progressing that as well. So they are pressures, and we will be presenting them as part of the June monitoring round process. I suppose in relation to TB compensation, it is a very volatile disease, as we all know, and the costs and the incidence of it can fluctuate quite significantly. It would be unusual for us to have the TB compensation met in the June monitoring round, but certainly we would want to have it flagged up. We put a marker bid in as part of that process, but looking to have it funded in October, November time. So that's usually the way that process operates. But certainly the DFP are aware that it is a pressure for us. We have some funding in there, but it's
a statutory obligation, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It has to be funded, and we continue to make DFP officials aware of that.
Again, capped this allowance of 3.9 million. Do they charge interest on that, or just a curiosity? I don't know.
No. It's no. Usually the way the process works is we wait for the EU auditors to come in and carry out their audit and their verification of the risk to the fund. Once they've done their audit work, then they send us the bill.
Is this then a suggested amount? It's not.
It's an estimated, but what we do each year, Chair, is that once we make out all of our payments, we carry out a calculation on the risk to the fund, and then the EU Commission base their charge on that calculation. So we will have a fairly good approximation or a fairly good estimate of what the likely bill is, and based on trends on the information that we have to date, we're able to make a fairly reliable estimate of the risk to the fund and the disallowance charge. So that's what we're basing that in currently.
Okay.
Can I just add that the executive concluded the budget exercise with no overcommitment on resource, so we're hopeful then there'll be scope to meet these pressures in year monitoring rounds.
Okay, that's good. We had received correspondence from the Committee of Finance and Personnel indicating that there will be a fifth tranche of voluntary exits in the civil service in 2016-17. And the papers indicate that certain departments will make use of the fifth tranche, but DART or DARA is not one of those named. Is that because you feel you can't afford to lose any more staff, or what's the situation?
Well, certainly, as the senior management team in the organisation have taken that judgment. We have come down very significantly, not just through VES, but also as a result of very careful management of our staffing. We do have an ambitious programme of work over the next number of years, including the largest ever rural development programme. We're relocating our headquarters, and we continue to deliver our cap payments, very stretching targets. So giving those sorts of pressures that we have within the business, the feeling is at this stage that we have come down far enough, and we would not be able to deliver our commitments to do another fifth tranche at this stage. Sorry, Tracy, do you want to?
Well, we'd set out a target of around 300 full-time equivalent staff, and we've reached that through 318. Okay. But we made a significant amount of offers. We had a lot of interest from staff, and out of the 918 people were interested, and we had 645 offers made, and 392 accepted that. But in full-time equivalents, it works out at 318 staff, and that produced the pay bill savings that we needed to move forward.
Okay. Do you see on the Rural Development Programme Going for Growth, 5 million allocated to it. So it is expected to, that must be spent in year, yes?
Yes, yes, it's on the, that's farm business.
Yeah, going for growth.
Yes, it's going for growth. That's the intention. Obviously, it's there is a profile going out to 2023 of investment, so it's really looking at the start of the scheme launching in the 16-17 financial year.
Yeah, and I think the scheme, there's 2 tiers to the scheme.
That's right.
They're not all open.
No, it's a phased. Will be a phased introduction to the scheme. You're quite right. Tier 1 is not to 30,000, and then the tier scheme is up to 250,000. So that's the largest.
And is it anticipated that tier 2 won't be opening until later in the year? Is that the?
Yes, it'll be a phased opening of the schemes. A significant amount of work will be required in terms of developing them, getting them launched. But I also think it's important to say that there's a lot of thought will have to go into them in terms of, from the farmer's perspective, in terms of what they want to do, and particularly given where we're at in relation to the markets and the financial climate that we're in, making any investment.
It could be quite a slow start, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so it'll have to be considered.
Plus, has to be business plans, and yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done on the farmer side in terms of getting those plans developed and having a good think about what they
at this stage. Are you able? Maybe not. I know you're not here to do that, but are you able to say when those schemes will be open? No.
Well, we're still working through the business case process.
That's okay. Any members? Declan?
Yeah, thank you, Graham. See, in relation to the priority 6, I'm aware that the councils will be taking the financial administration lead in terms of it. I'm just wondering, is there any update in terms of the service levels agreements between the department and the councils? Are they in place yet? Because I know that some councils or some of the lags are hoping to open up their summer schemes within the next few months.
Yep. I'm not aware, Declan, as to where they're at with the service level agreements, but I know there's a big push on to actually get the thing up and running and get the schemes open, but I'm not aware of yet.
Oh, no, I appreciate it's probably deviating a wee bit on the files, but that's no problem, thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? No. Okay. Sydney, yes, go on.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your presentation. Keep coming back. Research and development. How do we see that going forward? I'm looking at some of the figures here compared to what we had before in relation to AFB and others. But will there be the amount of money there and the funding there to ensure that as we go forward and move forward in the years ahead, that research and development will be key to?
Yeah, but certainly.
Are we losing out on this?
No, I mean, what I've said in my introductory comments is that the reduction applied to AFB will be offset by capital grant funding. So we're not reducing any of the research funding in the 16-17.
At the moment, you can't. Can you see that? Maybe. Are you telling us that isn't coming out of capital?
The Treasury have changed the rules around how research funding is accounted for and how it scores in terms of public expenditure, which is a positive thing, in that it is not going to be subject to resource cuts in future years. So I do see that as a positive and a beneficial thing. And actually, whenever you look at some of our figures, we're putting additional funding into collaborative research. Certainly from these figures that we are looking to invest in research going forward. It's not something that is being subject to resource cuts in the future. What I would say is that I think what we do need to try and do is to focus on that research that's going to give us the biggest return. So we may need to take more of a focus as opposed to spreading ourselves too thinly, where we don't get that sort of return. So in answer to your question, we are investing in research, but we will have to take a more focused approach of what we're spending our funding on to make sure that we maximise the return on that.
You still, it's a positive sort of
Yes.
focusing and going forward, you see that as that.
Absolutely, research and education have to be the two important pillars for the new organisation going forward, and those are things that we need to invest in.
That's good. And just quickly, Chair, as you talked about, was there 900?
Yeah, we had 918.
So there's 600 or roughly who didn't progress, or were they happy with that? Or
We had 645 people given offers out of the 918. And
did they not accept the offers? Is that what happened?
some people, well, a lot of people didn't accept. The attrition rate is around 33% of people who get an offer and say no. So in terms of staff, we have a lot of staff who got offers and didn't take them. And equally, we have staff who were waiting for offers and never got an offer, because we reached the number that we needed. Yeah.
The 318 was all, or the 300.
318, yeah, that's what we needed. So we do have people who really would have liked to have got an offer and didn't get an offer.
It's closed now, and
it's closed
going forward, so there's no way if any of those ones were to come back in the future and say, look, maybe I should have taken the offer now, that's gone.
No, there is an appeal process. You can appeal, but it's quite tight guidelines around it. Mm-hmm.
But your resource and staffing is set now, and that's what you need to move forward in this new setup.
Absolutely. I think that we have to balance the need between the payable savings and business continuity. And there, as Graham alluded to, there's so much to deliver that I think we keep going our robust workforce planning and robust controls around managing vacancies as they arise in the future, and we bank what we've achieved through the voluntary exit scheme. It was quite unprecedented. It's never been at this scale before. So,
were all those 318 that left, the ones that there's some crossing over of staff, was there within departments and things? So the staff at your level, was there any crossover?
Only minor numbers, really.
Minor numbers,
yeah, I mean, those 318 were more or less starred staff, because there was not a lot of movement in the last year, staff in and out of departments.
Right.
So broadly, that is definitely a position that we could stand over, that they're our own staff. Equally on DOE side, we know their figures for what's coming into DERA and the number of staff that they've lost through voluntary exit. So a lot of this is round about restructuring, reprioritising, making sure you've got staff in those top priority areas.
Your case was an easy process, relatively an easy process?
Oh no, it's
I wouldn't say that.
No. I mean, obviously, you're not going to let 300. In people terms, it's near 360. You're not going to let that amount of people walk out the door and it not be painful.
I asked that question: what is the pain then?
The pain is around the restructuring, the reorganising, and the redeploying people. So people are being transferred from what they were doing to a higher priority area of work. But all within DARD, all within the department presently. But a lot of work had went on beforehand to think through, what will the impact be? What should we do to reduce back office functions? We had a number of reviews that we took forward, like corporate services reviews, and as well the advisory reviews underway and the inspection reviews, which will lead to a different operating model at some point in the future. So hopefully it will come together, but I would say it's been easy. We're assessing it as we go through, and the third group of staff will only leave at the end of January, and the fourth group of staff will leave at the end of March. So we'll see that happen as they walk out the door.
But you're getting there, and
we're getting there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. And I mean, this is a farmer thinking out loud. I mean, if you could do with 300 less staff, did it not mean you had too many staff in the first place?
No, and I wouldn't underplay the difficulties that we're under. I mean, if you look at where we're at, we're sort of tranche 2, tranche 3 have gone, and we have a fourth tranche to go. So we're telling you the figures how it will end up. And as I said in my opening comments, clearly we will have to do things differently. So, you will see a different organisation out the other end. We have certainly talked at this committee around online and the need to do completing forms online. We can't in the future have dual systems, having a paper-based system and an online system. I mean, that will have to change in the future. We will have to prioritise. We can't do the broad spectrum of things. So we are working through that. and I think you won't see the full outworkings of that until into the 16-17 financial year, and no doubt we'll be coming back to this committee with more detail of what that looks like. So no, I wouldn't underplay the difficulties, and Tracy's been very kind. It's been very, very difficult to manage all that, unsettling for staff. Those that didn't get it, those that did go.
I would understand that. Yeah.
It is hard work in trying to manage an organisation through that transition. I wouldn't.
Yes, it's unfair. It almost seems unfair. Someone that really wants to take it, get the opportunity, doesn't get it.
And that's almost, it became almost like a list, if you were on it or you weren't on it, and you have to manage that, and so leadership was critical through
not easy,
Tracy, just coming back, you mentioned appeals. How many have appealed?
So far, the appeals process won't kick in until the 5th tranche is over.
Right, okay.
But there have been other appeals, people who maybe just changed their mind, but they're on hand. They're very small numbers.
Okay, thanks.
One final question from me. AFBI, close to my heart. I see AFBI as a resource cut of £2.4 million. What's the percentage of their overall budget? Is that?
That money will be replaced by capital. So
by capital.
In total terms, total funding terms, there's no cut to their budget.
That's good. I'm glad to hear. I did think that's what you meant earlier on, but it's, yeah. Okay. Any other members want a question? Okay, members. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you. Okay, members, we want to agenda item 11, date and time of the next meeting. The next meeting of the Committee of Agriculture and Rural Development will take place on Tuesday, the 2nd of February 2016 at 1:30 p.m. in Room 30, Parliament Buildings. I declare the meeting adjourned.